Sheila bumped into Lee and all the meds fell out of her bag. Sheila ended up asking her, where's her granddaughter? I said, psst, psst, look down, girl, look down. But aside from that, Grace was begging Finn not to tell Leon the truth on today's new episode of The Bold and Beautiful. And he was like, I'm not. And she looked so relieved or whatever. And then he was like, you are. She just kept standing up there begging him to my son, I'm not a thief. Ain't like I spent the money. I was like, girl, you going to jail. I was like, girl, you going to jail. But I don't know if she actually going to jail. They say that they supposed to run her out of town. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what they've been saying. Excuse me. That's what they've been saying. But yeah, she talking about so she not a thief. Ain't like she spent the money. She talking about so, she gave it to the people that was, blackmailing her and stuff like that. She talking about so she don't want to lose her career or go to jail. I said you should have thought about that before you did what you did. You should have thought about that. Then I almost forgot this part. She also said, when I found out what Reese had did, stealing Hope and Leon baby and stuff like that, she was disgusted. She ain't like that or whatever. Finn said you basically did the same thing. She's like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. But yeah, Finn ends up telling Liam that Grace has to tell him the truth about his brain cancer, and that was the last scene. But aside from that, they showed Hope on the phone with Brooke, but they didn't actually show Brooke. So apparently she was at the hospital. I hate when they do that. I actually hate when they do that. I don't like when they don't follow up. She over here about to die and stuff, and y'all don't show her at the hospital or nothing. I think the other thing is that Sheila was just talking to Deacon about paying her respects to Luna and everything, but that was it. Okay, y'all, so first things first, let me know y'all thoughts on today's new episode down below. What did y'all think? Did y'all like the episode? Was y'all expecting them to do a follow-up in regards to, the whole Brooke situation? Let me know. But yeah, on today's episode, Grace was just talking to Finn, talking about so she doesn't want Finn to tell anybody what she did. She wants him to keep it between them. I said, girl, you going to jail. You going to jail. Hope was on the phone with Brooke, but they didn't actually show her, like I said at the beginning of this video or whatever. And she found out about the boat crash. She was just telling them that, she's okay. Sheila was saying how she needs closure. Excuse me. Sheila was saying how she needs closure. She wants to pay her respects, say her goodbyes to her granddaughter. Deacon said, it's good, Luna gone. That's basically what he said. He keep telling her the same thing and reminding her. I said, you don't need to remind her. She the same. How many times I got to say she the same person? She just like Luna. But yeah, he was saying or reminding her what she did to Hollis and Tom. Hollis and Tom or whatever. And he was like, she not coming back. And he kept saying it or whatever. But we know she coming back because she's laid up right there. They saying that next month is the month that she's supposed to wake up, y'all. Lee was just talking to Luna saying she'll pull through it. She's doing everything she can to help her heal. And she also said something about needing more medicine. Finn said, what if the people want more money? I said, exactly. So she started begging. Grace started begging him not to tell her soul or whatever. And I said, well, you shouldn't have told him. I said, duh. If you don't want somebody to know a secret, you don't tell. You ain't have to confess to him. You could have kept on lying. You've been doing it this long. You've been doing it this long. Over here begging him and stuff. I said, he's finna tell. Well, he ain't gonna tell. She's gonna tell it. But yeah, Sheila was saying how she think. Hold on. Let me make sure. Sheila was saying she thinks her and Stephanie could actually get along. I said, no, especially not with you over here making excuses for Luna. Especially not that. I said, she barely be in the door herself. That's my thing about Sheila. Sheila over here, since we seen the whole Luna situation done happen, people be over here, I ain't gonna say they ready to just allow her to be in their life or nothing like that. I don't think they ever will be, especially not Steffi. Not Steffi Forrester. But they over here talking to you and thanking you and stuff, and you keep on mentioning your granddaughter. Don't nobody want to hear that and somebody don't try to murder them. It's bad enough that you try to murder them. She over here making every excuse in the doggone book. But yeah, Sheila was talking to Deacon saying how she thinks her and Stephanie could get along. She wants to find Finn to give her condolences. And what's his name? Deacon. Deacon was trying to tell her, I don't think that's a good idea or whatever. Just because you feel a certain type of way about your granddaughter, whatever, doesn't mean Finn feels the same. And she was like, that was his daughter. I said, okay, girl, go on over there then. Go on over there. I mean, she's not wrong. We just haven't actually seen him process his feelings or anything like that. We haven't seen it because he's been too focused over here investigating Liam's whole situation. And I really thought they was going to actually show it. So people also, before we finish this review or whatever, people think that what's her name? Luna's gonna wake up when Steffi returns. But yeah, Leon ends up telling Hope about the $1 million that Bill paid. Grace thinks that she didn't do the same thing as Reese did, and Finn told her she did. He said he can't keep quiet or whatever, and she just stood out there begging him. That lady, April, the nurse lady, she told Sheila that Lee took a leave of absence. I said she finna put two and two together. Not only that, she had her go over there. Might as well get that out the way. She had her go over there and look because she wanted to know where they were sending, Luna's remains or whatever. She was like, basically, that's strange. There's no record of it. I said, oh. That's the second sign. First, Lee took a leave of absence, but she showed up. That's the first thing. Then there's no records. Then she done dropped all these meds. I said, Sheila, she did the same thing with Finn. Put two and two together, girl. Maybe on tomorrow's episode, we'll see. But yeah, she told her that Lee took a leave of absence, but she comes in and out. I said, these people can't hold water. They can't hold water. Fan tells Grace that she needs to come clean. Grace said if Fan turn her in, she'll lose her career and she going to jail. Said she's not a thief. I'm not a thief or whatever. And I was like, girl, please. But yeah, Fan said he not gonna tell Liam or whatever. And she looked all happy and relieved. He said, you are. He said, you are. She's still begging. I said, go on over there, girl. I said, you ain't gotta go. I said, you could go for a run. I said, go for a run. What they call it? You can run for it. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, we already talked about how April ends up telling Sheila that there's no record of, where Luna's remains are. Sheila ended up bumping into Lee, like I said at the beginning of the video, and all the meds fell out. And Sheila was like, basically why she hasn't been, answer her and stuff like that. She want to know where her granddaughter is. And I said, look down, girl, look down. Leon ends up telling Grace that, he feels great. And they going on and on. Hope ends up saying they owe her. They just kept talking. I was like, shut up. I hate when they do that. I said, anytime they want to come tell a secret or something, they want to sit up there and interrupt. But yeah, she tried to get out of it. She was like, I didn't know you had company or whatever. We could just leave and whatever. I said, no. I said, stay your tail right there. But yeah, Fan ends up telling Grace to tell Leon the truth about his brain cancer. And that was it, y'all.